My name is Nathan, and welcome to my shrimp room. Hello everyone, and welcome back. This is my 33-gallon crystal red shrimp tank. And the reason why I wanted to do this video was because I have never seen so many shrimp in this tank since I've had it. This colony is about getting close to 2 years old now. I did have a pretty big boom in shrimp a few months back, but they stopped breeding on me for a while, and then all of a sudden it was just this giant explosion of shrimp. But I've been getting a lot of questions on Instagram and Facebook, just like, what do I feed them and how often, what my water parameters are, because I really can't explain exactly why these shrimp have just exploded on me, but I will get into some details on basically what I've been doing to this tank to trying to keep it stable, keep all the babies alive. Alright, now I'm going to start off with the plants because I want to get into detail about exactly what's going on in this tank, just because I don't want to leave anything out, and I really do want people to be successful in breeding shrimp. So I'll start off with this plant over here, and that is a narrow-leaf Java fern. I have it in just about all of my tanks. And the reason for that is because it has a lot of surface area for those shrimp to graze on. I see a lot of babies on it at all times, so I've really enjoyed it in just about all of my shrimp tanks. But this one here is called Blixa japonica. It's not really a necessary plant that I like. I bought it at one point and decided to throw it in this tank. It seems to be growing fairly well. This one over here, I still haven't figured out what the name of it is, but it seems to grow pretty well in here, and I always see little babies on it most of the time. As far as floating plants go, I've got some water lettuce and duckweed. The ones with the long roots are the water lettuce, and then whatever else that's blocking the light, like always, is the duckweed. Stuff can be a little bit of a nuisance, but I really do like what it does for my tank. In the back, the pink roots right there, or the pink stems I mean, is rotala. I really like that in all my tanks too, because I noticed that when it comes and hits the top of the tank, it most of the time it stops growing and it'll shoot off another shoot instead of keep growing and overcrowd the tank. I don't have any moss in this tank. There's not really any room for it. But those are really the only plants that I have in here. As far as what I feed these little guys, it's mostly snowflake and a powdered food. As far as the pellets go, there's too many adults in here for the little babies to get access to those pellets. So I've kind of relied on snowflake food and my powdered food. Now, there's not any specific snowflake or powdered food that I use. It's sort of a whatever you have on hand. Most any powdered food will work. But I have to feed my powdered food at least once a day. Usually it's at night. And the snowflake food I will usually do once every 2 days. The only downside to the snowflake food is that it's very messy. But if I don't feed this much, I notice that the babies just don't get fed. I don't know exactly, like I said before, how many are in here. But if you look at the females, she's buried there, she's buried there. And I think almost like every female is buried. She's buried there, she's also buried. There's another one over here. She is buried there. And, I mean, it just goes on and on. The water parameters in this tank are a pH of 6.2, a KH of 0, and a GH between 4 and 5. The TDS floats between 130 and 140. And the substrate that I'm using is ADA Amazonia. Also, the temperature of this tank floats between 66 and 68, and that is the temperature of my entire shrimp room. But having a colony of shrimp this big is a little bit tricky as far as trying to keep your water parameters stable. Because I've noticed that I am getting, for the first time, a little bit of nitrate buildup in this tank. And I'm not really worried because it is pretty heavily planted. The nitrates usually get eaten up fairly quickly. But I will notice that my filters get full in about 3 days. And it's a little bit time consuming on this tank, but when you have a tank that just, it always looks like Christmas in here, I mean, it's always worth it. Like, this is what shrimp keeping is all about for me. Like, I can't beat the satisfaction that I get when almost every female is buried. They've been doing the happy dance for, I want to say, 2 weeks to 3 weeks straight. And I guess what I'm trying to get to is, if you do get to colonies of shrimp this big, just be sure to always check your water parameters, because they can fluctuate, especially if you don't have a lot of plants, and that's why I really, really like heavily planted tanks. Now, I do sell shrimp, but unfortunately I can only sell within the country of Canada, so if you're not from Canada, I do apologize, but for anybody that is in Canada, I do ship countrywide. And if you want to get a hold of me, you can hit me up either on Instagram or Facebook, or even leave a comment below. I'll be sure to get back to you, and I'm pretty good at responding to messages. But tomorrow's my shipping day, and thankfully I can thin some of this colony out. But it's going to become a problem again because I know that most of my females in here are still buried, and there was just I want to say 10 to 15 new batches that just hatched within the last week, and my males are doing the happy dance again. So I mean, I don't see this colony stop in growth for a long, long time. But I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and if you're not subscribed, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and cheers.